Cindy K here, and if you haven't subscribed to my video, I will just explain to you my channel. I make a lot of videos about strange things that happen and occur, you know, like Bigfoot and UFOs and space phenomena and all kinds of stuff, and then I try to weigh it out through a biblical perspective and what God would say about it. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff and you're kind of spooky like me and like to figure out what goes bump in the night, then I hit that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and leave me a message. I try to reply to everybody that talks to me. And so anyway, tell me what you think of this video. For you that have been following me for a long time, you know I've had Bigfoot activity on my property for a while. But this year has been pretty quiet through the spring. Haven't had a lot of stuff going on. It's rained a whole lot, so it's a lot has happened that was different and not as normal as usual. And so I hadn't had a lot of stuff happen. I did hear a whistle, and my daughter that lives here every other week, and she goes outside a lot at night, and I go outside to take the dogs out. We have both heard cracking trees and things being drug again on the property next to us where all the Bigfoot stuff happens. If you watch my last video about the Cherokee explanation through the medicine man, about what Bigfoot are, what they used to be. If you haven't watched that, I'm leaving a link below, and you need to go check that out because he had some real good information. He said my Bigfoot wasn't good, but since I was a believer, I had the power and authority over Bigfoot to apply the blood of Jesus around my property and anoint it with oil, and I shouldn't have any more problems. And so I don't know, but I did apply the blood, and I did verbally say, but if there's one out there that is not mean, that doesn't want to hurt and just wants to come get blackberries, I don't care. I just don't want any wickedness on my property. I still don't believe God made Bigfoot, but I may be wrong. Mainly because they have spiritual powers and things that are kind of strange. But anyway, whatever, you know, we've got to get used, people, to understanding that everything that's evil, or you know, that spirits can have bodies sometimes. We are used to spirits not having bodies unless somebody's possessed or an animal's possessed. But there are going to be creatures in the last days that manifest in this realm, either before the rapture or after, that are, and they're already appearing, that are unexplainable, part man, part beast, and they have bodies, literal bodies. I just listened to a story on the internet about skin crawler, is that what it's, ranch? And this big wolf appeared that was like 10 feet or so long, and just, it wasn't a natural being, okay? So just strange things are going to happen like that. And so we have to be able to comprehend in this mind without going wacky, like, okay, well, good job, whoever invented this thing. It's got a flesh body now. But those things that have been invented that God didn't create won't have a soul that he sent down to live in that body. So what gets in that body? It's just a flesh body that lives and breathes, and it's open to everything. So anyway, back to my story. So if you know anything about my Bigfoot, we've had a lot of things happen. I will also link below another video about when I was gifted some moss, because it correlates and ties into this story. I made a fairy garden last year, and I made some moss in it, and I put it in an old clay pot that was broken, and I made a video of it, and you can look at it. So anyway, just to make a long story short, evidently Bigfoot was watching, because the next day I was walking on my pathway and a big, huge patch of moss had been pulled up and set right where I walk. And because we've been having a lot of Bigfoot activity and we've smelled Mr. Stinky around here, I put two and two together and felt that's what it was. We also had some more activity that went along with it. But anyway, the moss thing is what I want to talk about. This morning I had to get up and go get my hair done. How you like it, y'all? It looks pretty much the same, except I got some red in it for the holidays, 4th of July. Woohoo! Okay, so I had to get up early and leave. So I didn't take the dogs out. I didn't look at what was on the ground, pay attention to my property thing, got in the car and took off. Came home, and this afternoon I went to take the dogs out, and on a particular area we always go, I looked over and found about I think it was 5 or 6 pieces of moss. Looked like they'd been brought and just dropped down on the ground in my front yard, not 10 feet from my house. I'm not sure if this is the same time of year that I used moss last year when I got the gifting, but we have had some things happening the last few nights that have let us know that he is in the area. And so anyway, when I saw the moss, I thought, wait a minute. I said nothing evil can come on my property. So I'm thinking maybe this Bigfoot, it isn't DNA mixed with this evil other species that came out of the caves. You will understand that if you listen to the video about the Cherokee medicine man. Okay, so I got all this moss. You'll see a little video where I taped it, so you'll see it. And also where we have a bunch of earthworms in a flower bed. I noticed it'd been dug up, and there was little pieces of moss in this hole. And I felt like whatever put the moss there took some earthworms. Was I gifted moss because they ate our earthworms? I have no clue. My grandchildren haven't been here this week, so they didn't do it. So whoever did it, I'm kind of thinking it was Bigfoot, and the reason why is because last night when I kept hearing something out the front, I kept hearing something, and I thought, that's strange, what's going on? You know, I looked out the shade twice. And the dogs barked and were throwing fits, and they were in the other room where they could see out the window. And when I took them out later last night, it was dark, but I stayed close to the house. It reeked of Bigfoot smell. I mean, and I even looked above me onto the roof to make sure something wasn't on my roof, because it freaked me out. I looked in the big, huge pine tree because I thought he is really close. So I'm thinking when I heard that noise, that's when the moss came. My daughter that stays with us, like I said, every other week, and she has heard a lot of activity on the property beside us, of trees being broken and dragged like we did last year when we found the teepee structure types, over there. I haven't seen any close to the road. They sound like they're more down in the hollow. I'm not going in there, okay? But anyway, that she's heard that. A couple of nights ago, I took the dogs out, and I heard this loud howl. It was a long, like, ah, but real deep, ah, and it went on forever, and then it just faded out. Well, I told my daughter Kyla, and some of y'all belong to her channel, and I told Kyla when we went over there Sunday, because she wanted to bless her dad and feed him. So we went over there. I told her that I heard Bigfoot howling. And she goes, what do you mean? What does it sound like? And I did it. I showed her, and she goes, oh, you mean howling man? I said, what do you mean howling man? She goes, yeah, we've heard howling man ever since we moved out here. Well, we moved out here in 2001. So she's heard howling. She calls him howling man. I talked to her sister, her older sister, Kim, about it, and she goes, oh yeah, we used to hear it all the time. We thought it was a man. No, it was Bigfoot. So Bigfoot's been around here this whole time, but the last few years he's wanted to make contact for some reason. Okay, so I think I'm just going to start calling him Howling Man. So for whatever reason, I got this pile of moss, and I'm going to put the video right after this, and y'all let me know what you think. And I'll keep you updated if there's anything else that happens. I need to start taking the phone out, but that howl caught me off guard. But I will try to take my phone out and have it cranked up, even though I don't know if it'll pick it up. But I will try to catch Howling Man. All right. God bless you.
Okay, guys.
See you later.
I have applied the blood of Jesus to my property and everything, so I guess this Bigfoot isn't mean, because I prayed that if it wasn't mean and it wasn't going to hurt me, then fine. But remember last year I made a video about I was making a fairy garden? If you didn't know about it, I made a fairy garden last year. I put moss in the fairy garden. This is my front here. I don't have any grass here. Well, and then the next day on my walkway, I found a bunch of moss. Last night, Mr. Stinky came from over there. My neighbor lives over there, right? Well, guess what? When we came out to take the dogs last night, I smelled so strong. Moss doesn't belong here. Moss does not belong here. I found some right here, a big pile. And then 2 more were like thrown, like when it was thrown over here, these just slung over here. Yes. I think Mr. Bigfoot sent me a gift, because I'll tell you, I'm gonna go over here on my walkway and go where the moss is beside my house. It's over there. Ooh, something in the weeds there. That's a real one of a snake. I don't see. Let's see, where's my moss here? Oh, that's recently pulled up. Right there. Where else? The wind started blowing now. I don't know what else pulls moss up. Anyway, was it Bigfoot? Well, something did it. Huh. I'm going to make good use of it and put it in that place where there's no grass.